Hello, everyone. I am Mason Haggett, and you are currently watching the Casino Co-Official. And today, I'm going to be reading The Lost Flower, Chapter 2. A New Kingdom, a New World, and a New Friend. By yours truly, Mason Charles Haggett. Narrator. Scott wakes up in a new weird world, blistering with snow. He's so cold. He can feel icicles growing on him. He walks forward, and all he can see is snow and trees. He is in a snowstorm right now. Scott. Hello? Anybody? Can you hear me? Help! Narrator. But it was of no use, because there was no one. He kept walking forward, shivering in the cold. It was so dark, he could barely see. He felt the wind rubbing against his hair, and the cold enter his ears. Then he hears someone else calling for him. Hello, is there anybody there? Help! Scott. Yes, I hear you. Narrator. Scott walks just a few more yards before he falls over. He is ready to accept his fate and die, but then he feels something like vines wrap around him, and he feels warm. Then he falls asleep. In the morning. Narrator. Scott wakes up slowly. He can't understand why he didn't die. How is he still alive? He's cold again, but not as cold. He can feel icicles growing in his hair. Then he looks at his arm and sees a tiny flower with red petals with its vines wrapped around his arm. Somehow, it sounds like it's snoring. Scott. Oh, hi, what are you? Nice voice. Narrator. The tiny red flower opens its eyes and looks at Scott. Ah! Ah! Narrator. Scott stands up quickly and shakes the flower off. The flower seems equally as shocked as he is. Scott. How do you have eyes? How can you talk? Where am I? Narrator. The flower seems shy. It turns its face away from him. Scott. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you. It's just I'm confused, and I don't know where I am and wherever I came from. There wasn't anything like a talking flower. How could a pretty flower like you be living in such a cold area? Well, I suppose I should start with introducing myself. I'm Scott, and I am very responsible, and my favorite sport is soccer. Say, what's your name? Sorry, it's just that my last couple experiences with humans weren't that good. My name is Cherry, Cherry the flower. It's a pleasure to meet you. Scott, pleasure to meet you too. Say, how did you keep me warm last night? Cherry the flower. Well, I was designed with the ability to amplify temperatures in any area, so I just amplified your body heat. Scott, what do you mean by designed? Were you created in a lab? And also earlier, I heard you say something about some humans you used to know. Cherry the flower. I'd rather not say. Scott. Oh, okay. Say, would you like to tell me more about where this place is? Cherry the flower. Sure thing. You are in the dark realm. There are many dark realms, but this is just one of them. Scott. How many are there? Cherry the flower. 4. Scott. Wow, so exact. Cherry the flower. So can I come with you wherever you're going? Scott. Yeah, sure, I guess. You can be my little guide. Cherry the flower. Well, actually, I'm new to this dark realm. I come from a different one, so I'm as new as you are here. Scott. Well, that's just great. Narrator. Cherry slowly climbs onto Scott's shoulder. This gives him chills that go down his spine, feeling the roots wrap around his shoulder. Then he begins to move. Scott. Alright, so how do we get out of this dark realm and back to where I came from? Cherry the flower. I'm assuming through a dark orb. Scott. Well, I hope I get out of this place soon, because I have a soccer game tonight. Cherry the flower. And wherever you came from, can I go too? Because the dark realm stinks. Scott. Well, I don't know what my parents would think about a talking flower, but okay. Cherry the flower. Nice. Scott. So what creatures live here? Cherry the flower. Snowmen. Scott, like actual living snowmen? Cherry the flower. Yup, actual living snowmen. They look funny. They have carrots for noses and roll around on the snow. Scott, okay, what else? Cherry the Flower, I don't know. Scott, okay, that's great. Narrator, they continue walking through the snow. Scott is warm with the flower setting on his shoulder. He can't help but wonder what else Cherry can do, and where did she come from? But then an arrow lands in the snow in front of them. Scott, who's there? Cherry the Flower, shh, be quiet, you idiot. Narrator, but it was already too late, because the hunters know where they are. Arrows fire at them, and Scott runs for his life. Scott, Cherry, is there anything you can do? Cherry the Flower, let me see. Narrator, she summons a force field around her and Scott. Cherry the Flower, go quickly. It can't keep taking shots forever. Narrator, he keeps running and running and running until he feels like his feet are going to run from underneath his body. Then he stops. Cherry the Flower, why did you stop? Scott, he stopped. Narrator, Scott looks to his right and sees a blue man made of ice behind a ton of trees. Then the man walks away. Scott, huh. Cherry the Flower, what's wrong, Scott? Scott, nothing. Narrator, they continue walking. They hear the snow crunch under their feet like a bag of potato chips as the sun blares in the dark sky. He can see stars in the daytime. Scott, why did that thing attack us? Cherry the Flower, well, let's just say that I'm wanted. Scott, so you're a criminal? Cherry the Flower, what? No, of course not. Do I seem like a criminal to you? No. Cherry the Flower, good. Also, some people in these lands are hunters. And one of the most wanted creatures to kill in these lands is human. Some of the people are against this, but some are completely for it. Scott, like the guy shooting us with the arrow? Cherry the Flower, exactly. Narrator, they see a small little snow village at the end of the forest as a real adventure finally begins. All rights reserved to Casino Co.